Hi there, this is Danny speaking. On December 22, up until the 27th of 2023, my parents and I went to Hong Kong. We made the most out of our time to explore the place, figure out the region, and enjoy what it has to offer. Now, this was my first time to travel to a foreign country, so I don't really have that good of a basis for comparison, except with my own country, the Philippines. To be honest, I came to Hong Kong without expecting much. I only brought with me the hope of having a good time. It was not until we descended to Hong Kong International Airport that I felt my excitement start to rise. I have always wanted to know what it's like, somewhere else I'm not all too familiar with, and I finally got my chance. Stepping out of the plane, the first thing I felt was the cold breeze that hit me. During this time, it's colder in Hong Kong than in other months. In the Philippines, we are used to sweltering heats of up to 30 degrees Celsius. It was 12 degrees in Hong Kong that night. It was not something I was used to. I expressed that it was cold, but I didn't complain because I liked that kind of cold more than the extremely hot weather we often experience in the Philippines. We rode a red taxi from the airport to the hotel. The driver had three phones in front of him. I read somewhere that taxi drivers in Hong Kong have a number of phones in their cars, something about making them have more chances to get passengers. The driver did not hold back with his speed. It was almost midnight, and towering over us were the city buildings with glistening lights as we rushed through bridges and empty streets. I chose a hotel that's a bit far from central Hong Kong. It was less expensive and more spacious. I thought distance was going to be a bit of a problem, but it wasn't. Not when you have easy access to the nearest MTR station. That's another thing I like about Hong Kong, their MTR station. A very convenient, straightforward transit system. We did make the mistake of riding the wrong train at first, but that's just part of the journey. We figured it out right afterwards. It's pretty easy. You just have to know which line to take and the endpoints of that line to know which direction to go to. It's no wonder we rarely see cars that are neither taxis nor service vehicles in the streets. Our first destination using the MTR was none other than Hong Kong Disneyland. I really was excited to go to Disneyland. My experience, though, with the theme park just went above and beyond my expectations. It was my first time to go to any Disney park. Although Hong Kong Disneyland is the smaller one of the Disney parks, it was nothing short of magical. I could feel my dopamine levels rise the moment I walked into the park's entrance. The pretty buildings, the grand castles, the charming characters, and their rides. They were all filled with creativity and such great quality. But what makes it really special were the emotions. You could feel that Disneyland wants to send this message. It was actually mentioned explicitly in one of the songs in their nighttime spectacular called Momentous. The line goes, "Live the moment and love the memories." The theme park, especially their shows, did such a great job in recalling the happiness from your childhood and giving you that feeling of sweet nostalgia of the importance of love and togetherness. Everything so wholesome and heartwarming. Momentous really was spectacular, with its iconic music accompanied with fireworks as well as beautiful projections on the main castle and their water fountain. It is bound to make your heart melt. A celebration of a lifetime, as they say it. I love pretty much everything about Disneyland. It makes you forget your worries without you being aware. And it made me think that even if money can't buy happiness, I still think real happiness comes from within. Money can often lead you to great experiences, which are always better to have than not. I wish to go back and even explore the rest of the Disney theme parks. I believe it's a place people should visit at least once in their lives. On the next day, we headed again to Lantau Island, where Tongcheng is also located. From there, we rode a bus on a 45-minute journey up the mountain. Situated there is Ngong Ping. We could have taken a cable car to reach Ngong Ping, but the line can get pretty long, and it has been suggested to take a bus to get there and take the cable car on the way back. So that's what we did. We saw glimpses of the seashore during the bus ride. I didn't really expect the sea, but the waves, the rocks, and the sand was a nice sight to take in. When we got to Ngong Ping, we headed straight to the big Buddha. We have to climb over 200 steps to get to the top, which was manageable. The views while climbing were serene. Looking up, you see the statue of Buddha bathed in sunlight. Looking down was the view of the mountain and the trees and the people eager to finish the climb. Beneath the big Buddha were halls you can visit. Videos and photos were not allowed inside, and we have to respect that. But you can see there were thousands of images of faces and presumably their names plastered all over the walls. It was intriguing to see. Unfortunately, there wasn't anyone you can ask for information regarding the insides of the halls. There were relics there as well. I can only imagine the amount of years that were accumulated by the people on those walls and the history held by those artifacts. I knew there was something deeper beneath the surface, and I wish I got the chance to unravel it. There were also stores that sell charms, and I got myself a bracelet. I'm not used to wearing silver, but the silver here is meant for safety. I like this a lot. We strolled along Ngong Ping village, up to the cable car terminal, where we hopped on to a crystal cabin to get back to Tongcheng. My mother was scared the entire time. I got to enjoy the view of the forest below me, and soon the waters, and then the city. There was a view of the airport from up there, where you get to see planes take off. I thought it was a great experience. We went to Citygate Outlet, where we did a bit of shopping and took some time to eat in preparation for the evening's activity. Witness Hong Kong from high above once again, but this time at night, on top of a viewing deck perched on a mountain. We got in the Peak Tram to reach the top, and the slope was very steep that throughout the ride, the buildings appeared to be leaning. Once we got off, we had to go up a ton of escalators in a mall where the viewing deck is. At the very top lies Sky Terrace 428, and we got ourselves a breathtaking view of Hong Kong at night, the city bursting with life and twinkling lights. Now on to our next adventure, go sightseeing in Macau. We ended up getting super class tickets on the ferry to Macau, since those were the only ones left for that morning. It's almost twice the cost of economy, but you get more comfortable seats and some snack and drinks. I liked their tuna sandwich. Was it worth the price? Not so much, I think. We got to Macau after about an hour, where we met our tour guide. She led us to the main sites in Macau for tourists: the Venetian, the Londoner, the Parisian, the ruins. Now, these attractions were made exceptionally. They made great replicas, not completely accurate, of course, and they were pretty to look at. But they were just that, replicas. Not unique, and they hold none of the rich history of the original buildings. There's not so much you can do as well, so those attractions didn't really move me. I think historical sites are meant to be experienced in their respective places. They were very good for photos, though. The casinos had good architecture as well. We didn't step inside, so I could only wonder what atmosphere they must have. In the evening, as well as the final day before the day of our departure, we went to explore the street markets. We had different kinds of experiences there. Sometimes, the seller gave in to our haggling, and other times, we gave in to their offers. Still, the street markets are some of those places where you can find a little something for everyone. Overall, we really enjoyed Hong Kong, and it was a trip that I will treasure and happily keep in my memories. Looking back, I don't think we experienced any real trouble in Hong Kong. Some people might say that the language barrier is a problem, but I don't think it's exactly a problem. I think it's just something that we have to accept and deal with and eventually overcome. I did try to learn some basic Cantonese phrases during the flight, but you clearly can't master even just that and gain enough confidence in only 2 hours. It's a good thing, though, that spoken language is not all that we have. We can communicate through pointing fingers or gestures and facial expressions, and I think it's a great example of the strength that humans have. That even though we don't have a perfect understanding of things such as the spoken language of a foreign country, we still find ways to move forward. When it came to the food, I did like the ones we tried. The food was more expensive than I thought they would be, though, so some may have to prepare for that. I could also find hints of Thai cuisine in some of the flavors. And again, the weather. I wish I could experience that kind of weather often. If you're not a huge fan of blistering hot weather, it's good to travel there from December to January. I flew to Hong Kong with nothing but hopes of having a good time, and I left with an even greater desire to be in different places, surrounded by different people, speaking a language I may not completely understand, and eating food I have never tasted. And I now have even more appreciation in getting to know the world a little better.